Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, social media, pop culture, technology, and just items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If this is your first time here to the channel, I'd like to welcome you guys, or if you are returning visitors, here on YouTube, I would encourage you guys to click on that watermark down there in the bottom right-hand corner, or the subscription button below the video, as well as those on DTube and BitChute, guys. Consider giving me a subscription and or follow there as well, as your participation is greatly appreciated. In gaming news this week, we had a bit of a rocky weekend out of Infinity Ward for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It was a double XP weekend, which was quite nice. You guys can check out all that coverage about the community news up here in the top right-hand corner. But nonetheless, we did experience a lot of disconnects and just general issues with grouping and then trying to stay in game, as well as just lag and stutter and other issues. And so what the team did was they extended the double XP weekend into Friday of this release of the video. So that was very encouraging. So the rest of the week we were able to get that double weekend experience for the whole week. So nonetheless, guys, I would encourage you to check out that video up there in the top right-hand corner. Here in the US, of course, we are still contending with the epidemic, but what has made the headlines lately are murder hornets. Yes, these particular insects out of Asia have created quite an issue in the bee community within the state of Washington. Now, experts, scientists, entomologists that study insects have been looking into the matter. Now, there isn't any defense for any of our insects here in the United States. In other words, honeybees here in the United States have not built a defense against them as they have in Asia. So they are kind of wreaking havoc. And the scientists have said that because they are more localized, they're hoping that they can locate and eradicate these particular hornets, because they can create a problem if they are kind of, left to their own design and nature. But nonetheless, they have been making quite a stir in the news, as of course we are dealing with the pandemic, and many people are at home and we're all just kind of trying to find things to keep us amused, distracted, and entertained. And of course, the murder hornets could not have made more of an impact within the mindset of individuals who are already concerned about the pandemic that is going on. But nonetheless, it is a very interesting little story, and hopefully we're hoping that the entomologists can take care of these insects quite quickly and deal with it before it becomes a major issue. But nonetheless, it was an interesting story, and they are rather interesting insects themselves, quite large too and very intimidating. But if you guys want to check out more, I will link a video for you down there in the published section below this video. Shelter-in-place protests are taking place in at least 10 different cities in 10 different states in the United States. And the curious and interesting thing is many of these states are blue states and or blue cities. And what I mean by that, of course, for our foreign friends, is that I mean that these are more Democrat and left-leaning states and or cities. And so the media seems to be a little confused about how to label these individuals. Now, they had no trouble a couple of weeks ago labeling the individuals in Michigan when they were under rather stringent orders from their particular governor. But nonetheless, of course, now we have regular general American citizens that the media is always trying to court and always trying to influence. And so these individuals are out protesting because, of course, our Constitution has not been suspended. Yes, we have seen some rather bizarre methodologies by the authorities to arrest or fine people for being out, not practicing social distancing. And it's becoming an issue in New York, for example, and even in California, which are the two key states that I was kind of focusing on to see how this was going to unfold. Now, as you guys know, here in the state of Georgia, we're already moving into, or we're already completing our second week of certain businesses having been opened. And I saw some people on Facebook that don't live here in the state, may not be aware of our news and media. We're kind of posting articles from other news agencies outside of Georgia to try to suggest that there is now some rising escalation of I almost said it. I can't say it here in the video. But the illness that is going around. So the thing is, the states have been kind of looking at Georgia, kind of seeing how things are unfolding here. Now, in our particular city, in our particular county, at least within the last 2 weeks, we've not had any additional illnesses reported. No deaths, fortunately, from it as well. So things are looking pretty good here. Now, of course, not every business, for example, the hair salons, barbers, bowling alleys, and items or gyms, and then massage therapy, fitness centers, these sorts of things were allowed to open 2 weeks ago here in Georgia. And since then, we've not had any, rapid escalation of the illness spreading. There is I think there might have been a bit of a rise, but nothing unexpected or alarming or would be of major concern. So I don't know whether other states have caught on to this and that Georgia was kind of the model of how other states might have done it, because a lot of states weren't really as affected by the illness as, say, like New York City and other areas in the U.S. where there's more dense population. So, of course, we can't treat every city, every state like New York, because New York is its own state, it's its own city, and so we can't treat every state and every city in the United States under those same conditions. Now, of course, the concern is to try to contain the illness as best as possible. But I think a lot of the governors are having to just kind of relax a lot of this because people are just getting out more. People in California are already starting to experience traffic delays yet again. Traffic here in Georgia hasn't been as bad, but there is more activity out on the roads. Now, it is also important to point out that during the pandemic, people were still going to the grocery store. They were going to the hardware store. They were taking their pets to the veterinarian if they needed to. They were going to chiropractic adjustments when they were hurting their backs, or they were going to the dentist if they had a toothache or a filling got loose or something of that nature. So people have been out and about doing things. Drive-throughs, for example, pickup, takeout from restaurants, delivery, UPS, FedEx, Amazon. These are all things that were going on in the background. Now, of course, we all want to practice social distancing and safety in general. For those who didn't want to go anywhere, you didn't have to. Businesses didn't have to open. There was no particular order that said you had to do anything. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Constitution has not been suspended. So individuals, of course, still have their constitutional rights to go out and do things if they want to go out and do things. But if there's no place to go and no business to be open, then you have to kind of pick and choose where it is that you're going to go and what activities that you are going to do, because they are quite limited. But I'm not really sure how they're going to introduce movie theaters. I'm not in any big rush to go to the movie theaters myself, considering that it is a very concentrated, compact area. Even, say, bowling alleys, for example, or even the gym. I'm not quite sure why those particular businesses were selected themselves. But nonetheless, so the protesters are out there. Americans are ready to get back to what would be considered a bit of a normal life, because most Americans are willing to cooperate. Law-abiding citizens being law-abiding citizens, like the gun-toting, as they were described by the media, the gun-toting individuals there in Michigan, law-abiding, so nothing broke out. There was no mass hysteria, no shootouts, of course, as the gun control or gun activists like to say. So nonetheless, everything worked out quite well. So it will be interesting to see as the weeks progress how cities and states will be handling individuals that are ready to get out, ready to get back to a normal life, businesses that are ready to open, and we'll see how all that turns out. Of course, the president has always been an advocate for getting America back safely, getting them back to working, getting the economy flowing once again. So he can't take a lot of criticism for not saying that he wanted to get things back in order, get the economy rolling again, because the economy will be a big issue perhaps in the upcoming election in 2020. So it will be interesting to see how this continues to progress and what news we'll get from these various cities, and keep an eye on whether or not the illness is spreading as a result of this. But nonetheless, guys, I will leave links for you down there below this video so you can check that out. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. I want to thank all you guys for your continued participation here, particularly those on BitChute and DTube. If you guys haven't given me a subscribe or follow there, I would encourage you to do so. And appearing there on the screen for the YouTube followers, that would be the channel icon for you to click on to subscribe, along with selecting notifications. That way you guys will know when content is released here on the channel, as well as the Friday vlog. And as the battery starts to fade here in the camera, I'll go ahead and wrap it up and say, I will see you guys right there behind the low battery camera next Friday.